Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Earwax. I'm Colin, and today we're going to be doing a tier list of every single band, artist, musician that I saw live in 2024. All right, guys, so I haven't done one of these before, so if you could just bear with me, there might be some technical hiccups. I do see that like my pop out window of me is for some reason like blending in a little bit with the web browser. I don't know how to fix that, so hopefully it's not too bad when you're actually watching this, but we'll just go from there. So let's start off with the first concert that I saw this year, which was Say Anything on the Is a Real Boy tour. There was actually two openers for them on this show, I believe, but I only got there in time for AJJ, or Andrew Jackson Jihad, which is a folk punk band. And I'm like somewhat familiar with them, but I'm not super familiar with them. But they were fun. They were definitely someone that I was pleasantly surprised about. I had, heard a couple of their stuff before. It wasn't like an amazing show, but it was pretty good. So I'm gonna put them squarely in the B column. Again, they had a great stage presence. I love folk punk. Not super familiar with a lot of their music, but overall, it was a really good time. All right. So after that was the headliner of that show, which was Say Anything. And I absolutely love Say Anything, especially Is a Real Boy. It's one of my favorite albums of all time. And being able to see it in live was just absolutely incredible. There was a point where Max Bemis a few years ago said that he wasn't going to be doing Say Anything anymore. So I was just really excited to see them, and they put on a killer show. He's got a great stage presence. They sounded amazing. I'm gonna put them solidly in the A tier. Great show. If they do it again, if you get a chance to go see them, definitely do it. So after that, that was like early June, which was my first show of the year. So later in June is when me and my wife went and saw Blink 182. And the opener for Blink 182 was Pierce the Veil. Now, Pierce the Veil is a good band. The lead singer's voice is one I've never been like a huge fan of, but they had a good stage presence. They put on a good show. And even if you're not a huge fan of their music, like I don't love their music, they're very talented musicians, and it was a good time. That being said, again, just with his voice and the fact that like I've never been a huge Pierce the Veil fan, I'm gonna put them in the C tier. Again, not that they were bad, I just didn't necessarily enjoy it all that much. But again, I think that they're a very talented band. It just wasn't necessarily my thing. Then after that was Blink 182. So Blink 182, I had seen a couple of times. This is actually my first time seeing them with Tom. I never saw them back when I was younger. I don't know why. Like I never made it out to a show, but I was very happy to see them with Tom, especially after watching some of like the Coachella performances, or like bits and pieces of the Coachella performance, like their first performance back. They didn't sound great, and so I was kind of skeptical going into this. But honestly, they killed it. It was a great show. They played pretty much everything I wanted them to play, and they get a solid A tier. They were a lot of fun. Definitely sound, I think, about as good as you can expect them to sound, and they just put on a hell of a show. And watching Travis Barker drum live is just absolutely incredible. So after that show, in late August, no, early September, I saw Geese open up for King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. So Geese, I was pretty familiar with. My local independent radio station had put on a few of their songs here and there, and I liked them. They were good. They were fun. I don't think that they were, mind blowing. But if you get a chance to see them, if they're an opening band, definitely go check them out. They're kind of like, a little psych rock, a little proggy, a little like jammy. They're not to be confused with Goose, which is like a straight up jam band. But they were fun. I'm glad I got to see them, and I would put them in the B tier as well. After that is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Now, I have talked extensively about them on this channel, and I honestly do believe that they are the best live band playing right now. Like, they are absolutely incredible. This was my second time seeing them. The improvisation that they do on stage, the way they're able to blend genres and sounds together. Every single member of this band is incredibly talented. They opened with like a crazy blues rock medley of like a few of their different songs. They did the River live, which is one of my favorite songs of theirs off Quarters. It's just like such good, just straight up like prog psych rock. The metal songs that they had were absolutely incredible. They had the I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but the most recent drummer from Slipknot, who was recently let go, he came out and did drums for a couple of their metal songs, and it was such a good time. They're an incredible band, easily one of the best live bands you'll ever see, and an easy S tier for me. Definitely, if you get the chance, go see them because they're just so much fun. Now, after that show was the tour of the Setting Sun. So Sum 41, which again, one of my favorite bands of all time. They did have a couple openers though. So the first opener was Many Eyes. So Many Eyes is the new project from former Every Time I Die vocalist Keith Buckley. And I will admit, when Every Time I Die split up, and initially the first project that was announced was Better Lovers, and I absolutely love Better Lovers. They were on my top 5 albums of the year for 2024. Did not get to see them live, but when Many Eyes came out, I heard a few of their songs and I liked it. I mean, I've always liked Keith's voice, but I always was much more in the Better Lovers camp. Seeing them live, I still kind of feel that way. Like they had some good songs. Keith is still very, very good live, but they didn't like blow me away, and it really just made me wish that I had seen Better Lovers last year, honestly. But they were still a good band. I'm gonna put them down here in the C tier. I'm gonna put them just above Pierce the Veil because I do like their music a little bit better than Pierce the Veil's. But that being said, I wasn't blown away by them, and I think I think they sound a little bit better on record than they did live. But that's they're still a new band. They're still kind of figuring it out, or at least figuring out playing together because they're only doing it for a short while. So maybe they'll get better with time. All right, after that is going to be the Interrupters. So the Interrupters, I really, really like. I think they're probably the best like newer ska band to come out. I mean, newer. They're been out for 10 plus years now, almost 15 years, I think. But they were fun. They were exactly what you'd expect. High energy, great little ska punk. I'm gonna put them in the B tier, right above AJJ and Geese. Like they're not the most amazing band live, but if you want just a good, fun ska punk show, like go check them out. It's gonna be a great time. All right, and then that brings us to Sum 41. Again, Sum 41, one of my favorite bands of all time. This is was their last tour. It was going out with a bang. And first off, I mean, I've got a lot of things to say about Sum 41, but the set list was pretty good. They did play a lot off of like Does This Look Infected and Chuck, which are my 2 favorite albums. They did a medley of like 3 songs from Does This Look Infected, which I didn't love. I'd rather they just play those out, but it was pretty much like the best you could expect from a Sum 41 set list. They're incredible musicians. They all were super tight. They sounded great. They played really, really well. But there was a lot of talking in between, and I get it, like Derek's on his last leg and he wants to interact with the crowd, but the number of times they said wow, I can't believe we're at Red Rocks, like 4 or 5 times throughout the set, it got a little old. And honestly, I feel like they could have put more of that time into maybe playing out a few of the songs that they cut short. So because of that, I am going to put them in the B tier, just because again, I feel like they could have cut out a little bit of that and just maybe like focused on actually playing the music a little bit more. Not that I don't want you interacting with the crowd, it was a little bit too much. So after that, some of my images down here are because they're black and it's a black background, you can't really see. But the next show that I saw was actually my day job. So my company throws a big holiday party in Mexico every year, and it's also a music festival. So it's 3 days, handful of artists. There was only one that I did not see, but the first act on the first night was Wyclef Jean. Now, I'm gonna be straight up. I am not a huge fan of most of the songs that Wyclef Jean has produced post Fugees. Like, it's just a lot of the stuff he was doing and playing is not necessarily what I listen to. Also, he doesn't really perform. Like, he was more just hyping up the crowd. He sang a little bit on like the stuff he was featured. There was like a couple Fuji songs, but it honestly felt like a glorified DJ set, and I just wasn't really into it. I, a lot of people around me were having a good time. He was getting in the crowd, but like he didn't really do much. And I hate to say it because he is a legend, but I'm gonna have to put him in the F tier. And again, if it's not necessarily like a set for me, like I understand that, but also if I'm going to see live music, I want to see someone actually like do something live. And yeah, he sang a little bit, he rapped a little bit, but like most of it was just him dancing to songs that he's produced or featured on, and it's not my jam. So Wyclef Jean, I'm sorry, I love you, but I gotta put that show on the F tier. All right. So after that was day two, and the first act for day two was Mr. Wives. Now I like Mr. Wives. They're a fun, upbeat pop rock band. There's a couple songs of theirs that I really really enjoy, and they were good. They were a lot of fun. They were, I don't want to say like low energy because they weren't. They were trying their best to like hype up the crowd, but like the crowd wasn't really feeling it, and you could kind of get that from them, that they were feeding off that a little bit. Again, not their fault. But because of that, I am gonna put them in the C tier, probably right in between Many Eyes and Pierce the Veil. Again, fun band. I think they're really really good live, but it was just kind of a low energy show, and I was a little disappointed. All right, after that is going to be Judah and the Lion. Now I like Judah and the Lion a lot. This is my first time seeing them, and oh man, you can barely see that. Let's do this. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So Judah and the Lion, they were really fun. Great show, high energy, super funny on stage. They sounded great. I'm gonna put them in the B tier just because I feel like I gotta save the A tier for like bands that really blew me away. You know what? I'm gonna put them over AJJ though because they were really really fun. I'm gonna put them over the Interrupters as well. Like they were so fun, super cool. Actually, for the next act, the lead singer for Judah and the Lion was in the crowd with us. He was behind me. I got to chat with him for a second, and just really cool guys. And they put on a great show. So Judah and the Lion, you get a B tier right behind Sum 41. All right, we're about halfway through, a little over halfway through now. And the next act, I am going to just straight up put in the D tier. Now, to be fair, I am not a fan of Nelly just in general. Again, this was a music festival that my company put on, so I'm just seeing, the acts that are there. And I'm not an R&B guy, or at least like 2000s R&B guy. I'm not a huge fan of Nelly, and his bass was so loud, it was like uncomfortable. I get wanting to be, bass heavy and in your face and everyone's having a good time and partying, but it was honestly too much. I needed to go get earplugs from it, which honestly I probably should have been wearing anyway. And it was fine. He had I think his brother was out there like hype manning for him. But it's not really the music that I enjoy. And because it was so loud and so like in your face, I just didn't have a good time. I'm sure a lot of other people did. I'm sure there were people out there that this was like the highlight of the entire event for them. It just wasn't for me. So Nelly, you get a D tier. All right. And then the headliner for night two was John Summit. So I did not know much about John Summit coming into this. He was actually announced as a last minute replacement for Swedish House Mafia. I was pretty bummed when Swedish House Mafia dropped out, but John Summit was really good. He, really talented DJ, kind of like tech house stuff. The visuals were good. I'm not a huge like EDM guy for like a concert. Like if I'm at like, back when I was in my early 20s, I went to warehouse raves and events and stuff like that. I used to be a DJ, and I definitely enjoyed it at that time. Now that I'm a little bit older and I'm not, doing the same stuff that would make me enjoy it more, it wasn't like it didn't blow me away, but he was very, very good. So I'm gonna put John Summit up here in the B tier. Again, it was good for what it was. He's very talented. Just not necessarily my cup of tea, but I did enjoy it. I had a good time in the moment. Probably wouldn't go see it again though. All right, and then after that, so the first act of day three was a electronic band out of South Africa, I believe, called Goldfish. They kind of mixed like house and EDM with a live sax and like electronic standing like upright bass. And they were fucking awful. Like it, one of the worst things I've ever heard. They are just not good. They seemed to be having a good time, but they were like off tempo, out of sync. The sax and the bass lining up with like the pre-recorded dance music was just not done well. I've seen that style be done well, and they just didn't do it well. So that's an easy F tier right there. All right. After that, luckily though, was a few acts that really did save the event for me. Specifically, Sublime. Now, Sublime is one of my favorite bands of all time. Specifically, 40 Ounces of Freedom is a top five album of all time for me. And being able to see the original two members with Bradley's son Jacob was really, really cool. Jacob 100% did his dad justice. They sounded incredible. The set list had less songs from 40 Ounces to Freedom than I would have liked. They played a lot more off of Santeria, but it was still an absolutely incredible show and just very surreal to see, Jacob up there honoring his dad. He sounds amazing. Seeing Bud, seeing, the whole, like the three of them together, it was just an awesome experience. So for that reason alone, they're going in the S tier with King Gizzard. It was such a cool, just like magical experience, and I'm so glad that I was able to do it. All right, after that is Weezer. So Weezer is a band that I have always told myself like I should see at some point, but never really wanted to pay to see. Especially with like I just haven't liked anything they've done in the past like 10, 15 years. I think there's a lot of people out there that feel probably very similar to me in that regards. Um, but that being said, they're currently doing the Blue Album tour, which is if I was going to see Weezer, this is pretty much the tour that I would want to see. So I was really hoping they were going to take that tour and bring it to this festival that my company was putting on, and they did. And it was, if I was going to see a Weezer show, this is the one that I would have wanted to see. They played all of their like classic old hits. They played the Blue Album almost in its entirety, and they're tight. They sound good. Rivers is not the greatest singer. He's gotten a lot more nasally as he's gotten older, which is the only thing that's really going to keep them out of the A tier for me. I'm gonna put him right here behind Sum 41, because again, if I was gonna see a Weezer tour, this is the one that I'd want to see. They played every song that I wanted to hear, and I have absolutely no desire to ever see them again. But I'm glad that I was able to cross it off my list. All right, getting towards the end here, we've got the last headliner of this festival, and then we'll get into the last concert I saw of the year. But the final headliner for this festival down in Mexico was Post Malone. Now, Post Malone is someone that I like a lot as a person. He's a Cowboys fan, which I really appreciate. He is also a big Magic the Gathering fan. I'm sure if you've seen like some stuff behind me, I've got a lot of Magic cards. But his music has never really been my thing, especially like the country album he just came out with. It's just not very good. But he's got a couple songs here and there that I have enjoyed over the years. And after seeing him live, I can definitely appreciate how good of a performer he is. He was getting to it, he was having fun, definitely a party show. There was someone on the side of the stage just like pouring him beers throughout the show and handing them to him. At one point, he fell off the stage, and I think he's okay, thankfully. But yeah, he had like a 9-piece band with him, so it was very much like his country setup. but he did like his other songs too, specifically Circles, which is my favorite song of his. But like with the full band, I thought it was a really cool rendition. So he's a great performer. But again, he's not really my type of music. So I'm gonna put him down here because it really was a good show. And I did enjoy it, but it's not, again, not someone that I'd probably go out of my way to see again. You know what? No, we're gonna put him up here over John Summit because he did really put on a great show, and I'll give him that. So, all right, cool. Now we're into the last concert that I saw of the year, which was the reunion show. I guess you can call that like first show in I think 15 years for Drop Dead Gorgeous, which is a hardcore, post-hardcore, metalcore band from here in Denver. Someone that I listened to a lot when I was in high school. Very excited to see them get back together. I saw them once in Warped Tour. I want to say it was like 2007, 2008, maybe 2009. But it's been a long time. And I missed the first opener they had on the bill, but I got to see the other two. So the first opener that I saw, another Denver metalcore band called 40 Fathoms. A buddy of mine that I was with at the show actually like was in a band that used to play with them back in the day, and they were really fun. They put on a great show. They, not a band that I was familiar with, so I didn't know any of their songs, but they were really really cool. I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put them in the B tier as well because I mean I love metalcore. It was the first metalcore show I've been to in a while, and they put on a really really good show. After that was Fox Lake, which is another local band from Denver. They're more just like straight up hardcore though, than metalcore, and wow, they absolutely killed it. Super super fun. They're going up here in between Interrupters and HAJ. They are definitely a band that I would see again. I think I saw them on a bill like 8 or 9 years ago. I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago, but I didn't know who they were. But I definitely like recognized the name and like a couple of the songs that they were playing. But really, really fun. Definitely get a chance to go see them. If you get a chance, go see them. Especially if you're into hardcore. It was a really, really good time. And then last, but certainly not least, is Drop Dead Gorgeous. Now, again, I was super excited for this show. They sounded great. Absolutely killed it. I'm gonna put them. I'm gonna put them right behind Sum 41. The only reason that they're in the B tier and not in the A tier is their light show was so aggressive at certain points that like I just couldn't even see the stage. But they sounded incredible. I was really up close. They played every song I wanted them to play, even a couple new songs, which is awesome. That means they've got some new music coming out. And yeah, I'm super stoked to hear what that's gonna be. So that's it. Yeah, that's gonna be. I'm super excited to hear what that's gonna sound like. All right, so that is it. Thanks for watching, guys. Those are all the bands I saw live. Let me know down what your favorite concert or favorite band of the year was. As always, please like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when my videos are coming out. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.